The Grim Reaper. Let's start with the Saja Boys. In K-pop Demon Hunters, when Huntrix tries sealing off Gwi-ma's underworld using the power of their music, the demon retaliates by sending in his own boy band, the Saja Boys. Their mission? Steal Huntrix's fans, steal their souls, and climb the charts while taking over the cosmos. On the surface, they look like another flashy idol group. Sharp moves, dramatic stage outfits, and hypnotic energy. But their name gives away the deeper connection. Saja comes from Jeoseung Saja, the Korean version of the Grim Reaper. That's why, in the film, whenever night falls or during their performance of the song Idol, the boys appear in black hanbok and tall gat hats, directly tying them to the image of Korea's death messengers. In the story, the Saja Boys weren't exactly guiding souls like in the myths. Instead, they were delivering them straight into Gwi-ma's hell. But this still raises the question, how close are they to the original legend? In Korean mythology, Jeoseung Saja are not killers or villains. Their only job is to escort souls from the living world into the afterlife. They serve under Yomra Daewang, the ruler of the underworld, and they do their work quietly, without cruelty or malice. Compared to the Western Grim Reaper, who swings around a scythe, the Korean version is calm, polite, and respectful, reminding everyone that death is natural and unavoidable. Modern K-dramas often reimagine them as stylish, mysterious figures. In shows like Goblin, Guardian, The Lonely and Great God, or Tomorrow, Grim Reapers traded robes for black suits, looking more like CEO than traditional messengers. Still, their purpose never changes. They guide souls and maintain the balance between worlds. That's exactly what the movie captures, blending old folklore with modern idol imagery to create the perfect mix of creepy, cool, and unforgettable. Gwi-ma. In K-pop Demon Hunters, Gwi-ma is the big villain, the kind of demon who's not just scary, but dangerously smart. He's a king who feeds on human souls to grow stronger, plotting to break out of the underworld and take over everything. The movie shows Gwi-ma leading an army of shape-shifting Korean goblins and manipulating humans by preying on their deepest insecurities. He tempts them with whatever they desire most: fame, power, even freedom from pain. But every deal comes at a devastating cost. The more souls he consumes, the more monstrous he becomes, transforming into a massive fiery mouth that swallows everything in its path. This character isn't random. He actually draws from elements of Korean folklore. Traditionally, the king of the underworld is Yomra Daewang, the god of death. In mythology, Grim Reapers deliver souls to him, just like the demons in the movie bring them to Gwi-ma. But here's the key difference. Yomra Daewang isn't evil. He's a strict but fair judge who decides a soul's fate, whether it goes on to reincarnation, paradise, or punishment. That's why Gwi-ma works as his perfect opposite. While Yomra Daewang maintains balance and fairness, Gwi-ma thrives on chaos. Instead of guiding souls, he twists them for his own power. Instead of keeping order, he tries to destroy humanity and seize control of the afterlife. By framing Gwi-ma as this rival figure, K-pop Demon Hunters modernizes ancient ideas into a story where folklore clashes with idol fantasy, turning myth into something that feels fresh and cinematic. Korean goblins. Not every supernatural creature in K-pop Demon Hunters is designed to scare you. Some are more playful, chaotic, and even a little funny. These are inspired by dokkaebi, Korea's famous goblins from traditional folklore. In the movie, Gwi-ma's minions, the demons, don't really come across as terrifying monsters. Instead, they're shown as silly and unpredictable. They appear from smoke, shapeshift into strange forms, move in bizarre ways, and constantly mess with people's minds. With their bright colors and goofy faces, they feel more like mischievous mascots than soul-stealing villains. But in the original myths, dokkaebi aren't just comedy relief. In Korean folklore, they're magical spirits closely tied to nature. Unlike Western goblins, who are usually ugly and greedy, dokkaebi are complex. They often come to life from ordinary objects that have absorbed spiritual energy, like old brooms, broken tools, or household items. These goblins are known for their shape-shifting tricks and their magical clubs called bangmangi. With this club, they can summon objects, create sudden riches, or change reality on a whim. But they don't just hand out rewards. Dokkaebi are famous for challenging humans to contests, like games or wrestling matches. Win and you could earn treasure or good fortune. Lose and you might end up the victim of their pranks, humiliation, or a tough life lesson. K-pop Demon Hunters cleverly updates this folklore. By giving the demons a colorful, idol-like charm, the film turns these old goblins into something fresh and fun. They're still chaotic tricksters at heart, but their modern designs make them both entertaining and strangely endearing. So while the movie calls them demons, they're really much closer to magical spirits. Mischievous, unpredictable, and unforgettable. Honmoon. In K-pop demon hunters, the one thing keeping humanity safe is the Honmoon. This magical barrier is the only wall standing between Gwi-ma and the human world. But as the story goes on, it becomes clear just how fragile that barrier really is. The Honmoon isn't just a random plot device to raise tension, it's the center of the entire conflict. Centuries ago, 3 legendary women, demon hunters, created it by joining their voices in song to seal Gwi-ma away. From then on, every new generation of hunters has had the duty to keep the barrier strong. In modern times, that role falls to Huntrix, the K-pop girl group. Their music isn't just performance, it's both a weapon and a shield, the only thing holding the Honmoon together. But the barrier has weaknesses. When Rumi, Huntrix's lead singer, starts to lose her voice, cracks form in the Honmoon. Her struggle with her half-demon identity makes it worse, leaving an opening for Gwi-ma and his army to break through. The fight against demons becomes just as much about Rumi's inner battle as it is about the external war. This idea actually echoes real Korean traditions. In folklore, shamans known as mudang used rituals, chants, and talismans to create barriers that protected villages from harmful spirits. These barriers weren't only physical, they depended on emotional balance. Fear, guilt, or shame could weaken them, just like Rumi's turmoil weakens the Honmoon. By the climax, the Honmoon turns into something more symbolic than a magical shield. It represents harmony between humans and demons, and within yourself. When Rumi finally accepts both her human and demon sides, her voice regains its power. Alongside Huntrix, she restores the Honmoon stronger than ever, sealing Gwi-ma away once more and bringing peace back to both worlds. Gwishin. At the center of K-pop demon hunters are the gwishin, restless spirits from Korean mythology. These ghosts are usually shown in traditional white hanbok, with long, messy hair covering their faces. In folklore, they linger in the human world because of unresolved grudges, wrongs that were never set right in life. In the movie, Huntrix faces terrifying gwishin pulled straight from Joseon-era legends. Some are murdered courtesans, others are betrayed generals or royal concubines, all of them seeking vengeance. They embody the weight of Korea's tragic history, turning personal suffering into supernatural rage. Culturally, gwishin are Korea's equivalent to banshees from Irish folklore or yuenling from Japan. They're not random horror figures, they're tied to real events, injustices, and tragedies that left people without peace and death. That's what makes them so haunting. They're less about jump scares and more about the idea of pain that refuses to fade. The movie draws a clear line between gwishin and other supernatural beings. The Saja Boys, for example, are demons, not spirits. They were once human, but by making a pact with Gwi-ma, they became immortal, corrupted, and bound to serve him. Gwi-ma himself is a different kind of entity altogether, not a ghost of a human, but a demonic force born from the concept of ma, meaning evil or corruption. By including gwishin alongside demons, the story blends different strands of Korean tradition. On one side, you have spirits rooted in history and human suffering. On the other, you have larger-than-life embodiments of chaos and corruption. Together, they create a supernatural threat that feels both deeply cultural and perfectly fit for a modern fantasy world. The Secret Order of Mudang. Mudang are female shamans in Korean tradition, while male shamans are called bagsu. They serve as intermediaries between the human world and the spirit realm, communicating with gods, ancestors, and nature spirits. This is done through elaborate rituals called gud, which involve music, dance, costumes, and offerings. Even today, real-life mudang still perform these ceremonies, especially during ancestral rites or when families seek spiritual healing. Historically, though, their role was complicated. During the Joseon dynasty, shamanism was both respected for its spiritual influence and persecuted for clashing with Confucian values. This mix of reverence and suppression gives mudang a unique place in Korean culture. K-pop Demon Hunters takes this tradition and reimagines it for a modern fantasy world. The series introduces several generations of spirit warriors who can be seen as modern-day mudang. At the center is Huntrix, the idol group whose members descend from a powerful shamanic bloodline. The generation before them was known as the Sunlight Sisters, 3 women who carried the same responsibility of keeping Gwi-ma sealed away. Among them were Ryu Mi-young, Rumi's mother, and Celine, both of whom play a key role in showing how this power has been passed down through the family line. By tying Huntrix's origins back to the mudang, the story connects the group's music-based battles to centuries of spiritual practice. Just as shamans used rhythm, dance, and voice in rituals to fight off harmful spirits, Huntrix wields K-pop itself as a modern weapon to keep the balance between humans and the supernatural. Samsin Halmoni. If you notice that the girl groups in K-pop Demon Hunters always have 3 members, that's not just a random creative choice. It connects to a deeper mythological figure, Samsin Halmoni, the ancient goddess of childbirth and fate. In Korean folk religion and shamanism, Samsin Halmoni is one of the most revered deities. Her name means grandmother Samsin, and she's closely tied to birth, motherhood, and the destiny of children. Families traditionally prayed to her during pregnancy, childbirth, and the early years of a child's life, asking for protection and health. She embodies the entire life cycle, birth, living, and death, making her a goddess who represents continuity and care. The number 3 also has powerful symbolism. In East Asian numerology, 3 is considered perfect because it represents balance between heaven, earth, and humanity. Samsin Halmoni reflects this harmony in her role as a life-giving goddess. That symbolic perfection is echoed in the series, where the groups of hunters always appear in 3s, starting with the first generation and continuing to Huntrix. By weaving Samsin Halmoni into the storyline, the series doesn't just create a magical rule for its idol groups. It draws directly from one of Korea's most enduring spiritual figures, linking the fight against demons to the same goddess who, for centuries, was believed to guard human life itself. Sanjum, Woldo, and Shinkal. Huntrix doesn't just swing around random anime-style weapons. Each girl wields something rooted in real Korean tradition. Rumi fights with the Sanjeom, a legendary 4 tigers evil-slaying sword. Mira carries a Weoldo, a crescent-shaped polearm once used by elite Joseon warriors. And Zoe channels shamanic power through a sinkle, the ritual blade of a Mudang shaman. The Sanjeom isn't just flashy, it's symbolic. Said to hold the power of the 4 guardian tigers of East, West, North, and South, the sword represented divine authority and the ability to cut through chaos. In legends, it was wielded by kings and Taoist warriors, embodying both royal virtue and cosmic balance. The Woldo, or moon blade, was a deadly yet elegant weapon of the Joseon dynasty. Its curved blade made sweeping strikes devastating on the battlefield, but it was also a weapon of prestige, requiring great skill to master. Meanwhile, the Shinkal has no military role at all. Instead, it's a sacred tool used in shamanic rituals. For Mudang, the blade was never just metal, it was a channel of divine energy, a bridge between the human and spirit worlds. So when Huntrix enters combat mode, they're not just drawing weapons, they're drawing on centuries of Korean history, martial arts, and spirituality, weaving it directly into their demon-slaying identity, Minhwa folk art. Apart from the grim reapers and demons, K-pop Demon Hunters is also full of small cultural details that make its world feel alive and deeply connected to Korean mythology. One of the best examples comes straight from traditional folk art. In the movie, there's a huge adorable tiger and its clever magpie companion with a hat. At first, this odd pair might seem random, but it's actually inspired by Hojakdo, a classic scene from Minhwa, Korea's traditional folk paintings. Minhwa became popular during the Joseon dynasty. Unlike the formal, elegant paintings of Korea's royal courts, Minhwa was bold, playful, and full of personality. It was art made by and for everyday people, often filled with symbolic animals, plants, and humor, majorly tigers. Tigers in Minhwa were especially famous. They weren't drawn as majestic predators, they often looked clumsy or goofy, earning the nickname derpy tigers today. Meanwhile, gachi symbolized good news or cleverness. Together, the tiger and magpie became a beloved duo in Korean art, representing power balanced with wit. So they pulled directly from this imagery to create the tiger and magpie in Demon Hunters, blending Korea's cultural history with the K-pop world's vibe. The costumes also have meaning. For example, you might notice norige, which are traditional pendants. In the past, norige weren't just pretty accessories. They were worn to bring good luck, keep away bad spirits, and show a woman's strength and wisdom. So all these little details show that this isn't just an animated movie, they brought their entire culture to life through it. Joseon's Confucian hierarchy. Beyond demons and magic, K-pop Demon Hunters also taps into history. In Joseon Korea, society was strictly organized under Confucian rules. Everyone had a place, and stepping out of line, whether a shaman, a court lady, or even a commoner, could bring punishment or social backlash. The female leads in the series mirror that rebellion. By taking on demons and wielding music as a weapon, they challenge rigid expectations, just like historical figures who quietly resisted social norms. In the past, music, dance, and ritual were subtle but powerful ways to push back. In the series, K-pop becomes the modern equivalent, a tool for justice, empowerment, and breaking the chains of tradition while protecting the world from chaos. Gwishin and Gwishin. Not all ghosts in K-pop demon hunters are like the Saja Boys or goblins. Some are darker and creepier, like the Mul Gwishin and Dalgyal Gwishin. The Mul Gwishin are water ghosts. In the movie, you see them during the bathhouse fight when the Saja Boys summon spirits from the pools. They have long, messy hair, pale blue faces, and lanky bodies. These ghosts come from people who drowned or died near water, and in folklore, they're known for dragging the living down into the water with them. They're tragic, terrifying, and entirely tied to the fear of restless spirits in Korean stories. Then there's the Dalgyal Gwishin, or egg ghost. These are faceless spirits, smooth and egg-shaped, sometimes with no arms or legs. In the series, they appear on the train, silently haunting the passengers. Folklore says they can even wear other people's faces over their masks, which makes them extra eerie. Together, these spirits show a darker side of Korean mythology, ghosts that linger because of tragedy, not just mischief. In the movie, they add tension and horror while keeping the story rooted in real legends, making the supernatural world feel alive and unpredictable. So while K-pop demon hunters might seem like just another movie, it's clear that every detail has deep roots in Korean culture. The mythology in the story isn't just there for aesthetics. It reflects centuries of beliefs about life, death, and the invisible forces that shape the world.